One of the first things that grandfather taught us about moving in the woods was to slow down. It was a technique that he called the sacred silence, the silencing of a man's mind and his soul to meet the heartbeat of creation. Too many of us tend to rush through the woods, speeding by and trying to catch schedules or taxi cabs. When you walk into the woods, you have to let go of all that outside world. You have to open up. The mind has got to be stilled of thoughts. Grandfather referred to the thoughts as ripples on a quiet pond that distort the images. When your mind is clear, it's like the surface of a quiet pond. There's a pure reflection. There's no disturbances, no qualifiers. There's no definitions or analysis. There is no time or place. There is just you and nature. But like thoughts, the winds stir the surface of that pond. One of the ways that we can get into the slowing of the sacred silence is to foxwalk. Today, mankind walks through the woods with heavy shoes, chasing those schedules. He brings the rush of society back into the woods with him. And in so doing, he hits heavily on his heels. He's forced to look at the ground because his weight is committed to his steps before the step is even placed on the ground. A better way is the fox walk, the way that the Native Americans used to walk. A walk that is slow, flowing, almost as a dance. The foot hits the ground with just the barest of touching, and it is rolled to muffle all sound. The body can then be held erect and the head upright because the feet feel the ground. There is no need to look at the ground. Our eyes can look around and see all the things that we would normally miss. Fox walking teaches us to slow down, and by slowing our body, we slow our mind and we walk as one with the heartbeat of creation. In this society, it's no longer necessary to be sensory aware. It doesn't take much sensory awareness to drive a car or to look at a television set or to read a magazine. We're no longer a society of hunters and gatherers where our senses have to be sharp and keen. Essentially, our senses are becoming dulled and atrophied from lack of use. If you were to stay at home and in bed for the next year and never leave that bed, essentially you couldn't walk in a year. Well, we're doing much the same things to our senses. And we can prevent this from happening to our senses if we develop an exercise regime that we exercise our senses much like we exercise our minds and we exercise our bodies. When you're out, when you're in the woods, or even when you're in the city, push your eyesight. Look for shape, color, texture, shadow. Look deeply into the landscape. Look from the minute to the majestic. The Indians described it as being as the mice people, to look at the tiny things and appreciate the tiny things. Then allow your vision to expand to the majestic. Look for shadow, areas of negativity, areas of positives, and force your sense of seeing to work. With your sense of smell and taste, smell the environment, smell the flowers. Take in the whole bouquet of fragrances in a field. Define one and follow it to its source. In your sense of taste, take time to taste your food. Be like a wine taster tasting water. Look at it as a wine taster would. Look at the color of the water. Smell it and really savor it. Touch the landscape. I dichotomize the senses of touch into that you touch with your hands and you feel with your body. Feel the wind in your hair and the sunshine on your back. Feel the areas of dampness as you walk through the landscape. Touch a flower. Touch the bark of trees. Touch a leaf or a bud. But with all of your senses, concentrate on them. Expand on them. Make them work. With your sense of hearing, listen to the whole symphony of sound and then take and separate one. Define just one sound out of that whole symphony and follow it to its source. Only by working those senses in a workout, much like we do with the workouts of our bodies, can we ever hope to keep them from getting dulled and atrophied. When people walk along a trail, we have been trained in our society to focus, to use tunnel vision on something. And when mankind looks at something, that is all they are seeing. In this tunnel vision, we cannot pick up movement. We tend to miss so much of what is around us. Instead of using tunnel vision, we have to expand our eyesight, expand it to our ultimate peripheral. When we do this, our eyes become very sensitive to movement all around us. And when we catch a movement, then we can look and see, and see more animals this way. Animals are constantly moving, and that is the only way to pick it up, through the wide-angle vision. We've talked about the sacred silence, the art of silencing our minds so that it is like a clean photographic plate. We've talked about fox walking and slowing down, and we've discussed wide-angle vision and varying our vision. But I think one of the most important things we can do if we really want to get into nature, if we really want to see it and understand it, is to just sit down someplace, or to just wander, following our heart, to go without time or destination. As soon as a person has a destination, they're looking so closely at that destination, that goal, that they miss everything else. We should just wander aimlessly, without time or destination. And that way we see everything.